The movie starts with a night view of Barcelona. A man named Maximo calls his son, Ander, asking if he's ready since they plan to leave Barcelona after Maximo finishes his work. Maximo arrives at a drug factory in Colombia. His stepbrother, Lucero, goes inside the factory while Maximo and their friend Rafa stay in the car. Lucero meets the factory owner, Romeo, to pay him because Romeo will support Lucero's father as the new leader of all the criminal organizations in Europe. But Romeo has a condition. His son must be given an important position. Meanwhile, Lucero's father and his stepsister, Maria, are on their way to the election, which starts in half an hour. Romeo is shocked when he opens the bag, expecting money but finding his son's head instead. A shootout starts between Lucero's men and Romeo's men. After killing some of Romeo's men, Lucero tells Rafa to call his father and say that Romeo has escaped and the election is a trap. Lucero then orders Maximo to kill all of Romeo's men and the factory workers. Maximo doesn't like Lucero's way of killing everyone, even the unarmed workers, but he remains loyal to his family and Lucero's father, who treats him like his own son. Lucero, knowing his father will arrive soon, tells Maximo to leave and start a new life with his son. Shortly after, Lucero's father arrives and is angry about what Lucero has done. In the past, he sent Lucero to Japan to learn about loyalty and honor, but Lucero learned the Yakuza's brutality instead. As his father scolds him, Lucero signals one of his toughest men, Chulimo, to kill his father's bodyguards, including Maria, who is also there. Maria manages to escape before being killed by Lucero's men. Lucero points a gun at his father, planning to kill him and take his place as leader. Before doing so, Lucero expresses his hatred because his father loves Maria and Maximo, who are adopted, more than him, his biological son. Lucero asks his father, head or heart, and his father responds, head. Lucero then shoots his father in the head, killing him. Chulimo informs Lucero that Maria escaped. The scene shifts to Maximo arriving at his house. He hugs his son tightly and hands a key to the nanny. Unbeknownst to Maximo, the nanny gives the key to a mysterious man in exchange for money. While Ander is playing his guitar, he notices an intruder. Maximo tells Ander to hide, but soon after, a group of people attack their house. Maximo fights them off initially, but a man named Finito shoots him from behind. Finito then shoots Ander in front of Maximo, who screams in agony. Finito immobilizes Maximo and reports the incident to Lucero, who ordered the attack. Finito blows up Maximo's house and leaves. 2 years later, a young man named Leo meets his girlfriend, Daniela. Leo is a drug dealer at his campus in the surrounding area. While passing an old garage, they hear loud music. They investigate and see Maximo, still alive, training hard and practicing martial arts. That night, Leo went home and gave the money from selling drugs to his mother, who didn't know about his job as a drug dealer. He also gave a birthday gift to his younger brother. Later, Leo gets a call from his supplier, Jero, who works for Lucero. Jero tells Leo to sell drugs in Russian gangster territory. Leo refuses at first because the Russians would be very angry if he sold drugs there. But Jero insists, so Leo has no choice but to obey. When Leo arrives, he sells some heroin packs, but the Russians catch him and beat him in an empty alley. They warn Leo not to sell drugs in their territory and threaten to kill him if he continues. At the same time, Maximo is there and helps Leo by fighting off the Russians, then quickly leaves. Leo gets up and follows Maximo to the old garage where Maximo lives. Leo thanks Maximo for helping him. While treating Leo's wound, Maximo asks if Leo can play the guitar. Maximo says the guitar belonged to his late son, Ander, and he can't play it. Talking about Ander, Maximo remembers the terrible incident 2 years ago when Ander was killed in front of him. Since then, Maximo has vowed to get revenge on Lucero, but he has had trouble finding him. The next day, Leo asks Maximo to teach him self-defense and offers to teach Maximo how to play the guitar in return. Maximo agrees and starts teaching Leo some basic martial arts techniques. Before leaving, Leo writes down his phone number on a piece of paper so Maximo can call him anytime. Leo also asks Maximo to do a special toss as a sign of friendship. The special toss reminds Maximo of Ander because his late son used to do the same thing. Elsewhere, Lucero is gambling with his business partners. After that, he calls Rafa and says he plans to return to Barcelona soon. Lucero wants to take over the mafia leadership from Dimitri, the Russian crime boss. While Leo is at school, Jero calls him and tells him to sell drugs in Russian gangster territory again. Leo refuses and hangs up. Jero is annoyed that Leo disobeyed and hung up on him. That night, Leo still goes to the Russians to sell drugs. Jero and his men are also there. When Leo sees Jero, he tries to run away, but Jero and his men catch him. They beat him badly and crush his arm because Jero discovered that Leo had stolen money from drug sales. The next day, Maximo is surprised when Daniela arrives, looking for Leo. She tells Maximo that Leo stole money from drug sales and Jero might have found out and tortured Leo as punishment. Maximo messages Leo and asks to meet. They meet at a church, and Leo explains everything. Maximo then asks Maria to help Leo. Maria reminds Maximo of their plan in the upcoming election for the mafia leader. That evening, Jero and his men go to a nightclub owned by Russian gangsters. Maximo follows Jero to get revenge for what Jero did to Leo. Maximo easily defeats Jero, and when Jero's men try to help, one of them recognizes Maximo and runs away. After defeating Jero's men, Maximo crushes Jero's hand just like Jero did to Leo. Afterward, Maximo goes to Maria's house to check on Leo and teach Maria martial arts. Maria reminds them of their plan to take revenge on Lucero when he attends the mafia leader election. Elsewhere, Finito visits Jero and laughs at him for being beaten up. Jero tells Finito that the man who attacked him is known as the Gladiator in the crime world. Finito realizes that this man is Maximo, who is still alive. Finito then kills Jero and asks his henchmen where Maximo and Leo are. Meanwhile, Leo feels better and decides to go back home, despite Maria and Maximo warning him that Jero's gang might target him. Maximo drives Leo home to keep him safe. When they arrive, Leo is shocked to find his younger brother, mother, and grandfather dead, covered in blood. Finito and his men are already there. Just as they are about to kill Leo, Maximo bursts in and saves him. Maximo fights fiercely with Finito and his men. Finito escapes when an enraged Leo shoots at him. Maximo then takes Leo back to Maria's house. As Maria treats his wound, Maximo tells her that Finito knows he is still alive, which makes Maria angry because it disrupts their revenge plan. Maria tries to comfort a devastated Leo, who blames himself for his family's death. Leo is so upset that he locks himself in his room. When Maximo returns to his garage, Maria calls and warns him that Finito's henchmen are coming. Maximo prepares to face them. Using his fighting skills and experience as a hitman, Maximo defeats Finito's men alone. Afterward, Maria gives Maximo information about a man named Urquiza, who manages Lucero's money laundering at a nightclub called Seven Rain. Arriving at Seven Rain, Maximo is stopped by the guards because the place is closed. Maximo ignores the warning and kills the guards and Urquiza's henchmen. Maria had told Maximo that all the cash in Seven Rain would be given to Lucero before the election, and the van carrying the money would arrive in 20 minutes. Urquiza tries to escape, but Maximo catches and beats him. Maximo leaves a message and a cell phone for Lucero, then takes all the cash. Rafa arrives at Seven Rain and is shocked by what he sees. Urquiza tells him everything, including Maximo's message and the cell phone he left. Maximo is shot while fighting Urquiza's men, so Maria needs to remove the bullet from his body. Maximo refuses because he thinks Lucero will come soon, and he wants to attack immediately. Leo, worried about Maximo, injects an anesthetic so Maria can remove the bullet. Lucero arrives in Barcelona and asks Rafa to take him to Urquiza. When he doesn't get the information he wants, Lucero kills Urquiza brutally. Leo, who knows Urquiza's location through a tracking device connected to Maria's computer, secretly takes a gun while Maria is asleep and goes to the place for revenge, thinking Finito must be there too. When Leo arrives, he points a gun at two men about to dispose of Urquiza's body. Finito appears and beats Leo badly. Chilamo, who is also there, is surprised when Leo says Maximo will come for revenge, as Chilamo thought Maximo was dead. As Finito is about to kill Leo, Maria suddenly arrives and hits Finito. Seeing Leo seriously injured, Maria takes him to the hospital immediately. On the way to the hospital, Maria tries to call Maximo, but he is still unconscious. One of Finito's men follows her to the hospital and tells Finito where she is. When Lucero learns that Maximo is still alive, he gets furious and orders Finito to fix the problem immediately. Meanwhile, Chilamo, who knows where Maria's house is, goes there and is greeted by Maximo, who has woken up. Cholomo tells Maximo that he believes Maximo should be the leader instead of his father. But since Maximo chose to leave the crime world and start a new life with his son, Cholomo decided to serve Lucero. Maximo and Cholomo have a fierce fight because they are both martial arts experts. Maximo asks Cholomo where Lucero is. When Cholomo says something that angers him, Maximo stabs Cholomo to death. Maximo then goes to the hospital to check on Leo and then heads to confront Lucero. Rafa, knowing Maximo is coming, tells Lucero to get ready. When Maximo arrives, he kills Lucero's men one by one and gets into a shootout with them. Rafa helps Maximo and lets him go to meet Lucero. One of Lucero's men, who is still alive, throws a grenade at Maximo and Rafa. Maximo survives, but Rafa dies. Maximo finally faces his stepbrother, Lucero, who explains that he did all this because their father loved Maximo and Maria, who are adopted, more than him, his biological child. Maximo doesn't care about this. He wants revenge for his son's death. Maximo and Lucero have a fierce duel with katanas. When Maximo overpowers Lucero, Finito appears and takes Maria hostage. Distracted, Maximo is then overpowered by Lucero. Seeing this, Maria tries to fight Finito but falls unconscious. Lucero orders Finito to finish Maximo while he plans to kill Maria. When Lucero is about to burn Maria, Maximo gets up and kills Finito with one deadly blow. Maria wakes up and joins the fight against Lucero. Together, Maximo and Maria attack Lucero. Maximo stabs him in the heart, and Maria shoots him in the head, killing him. Afterward, Maximo and Maria pick up Leo from the hospital, who has recovered. They still have the cash from Lucero's money laundering. The film ends. So the moral of the story is if you're planning to leave the crime world, maybe don't leave behind any loose ends, and for heaven's sake, always check who's babysitting your kid.